This episode of Just a Little Guy is brought to you by the fine folks over at patreon.com/justalittleguy, specifically in the Cosmic Abomination tier, including our friends Taru Tikkanen, D. Salari, Lunchbox, and Jared S. If you'd like to join in on helping out with the collaborative creativity, feel free to stop on over to patreon.com/justalittleguy and pledge whatever you can. Any amount is appreciated. As always, I hope you enjoy this episode, and be sure to check out What's Left of Us the last Friday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, thanks, guys. All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Just a Little Guy, a podcast where I ask content creators to concoct creepy critters, malodorous monsters, baneful beasts, and whatever disturbing design comes to mind. My name is Ron, and today we are being joined by a former guest of the show, two-time returning champion, video essayist, and he's one of my close pals. Please welcome back to the show, Salari. Hey, Salari, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm alright. How about you? That was a great intro, by the way.
Thank you.
Really well written.
I know. Whoever wrote... Oh, wait, that was written by you.
Was it? Oh my god.
It sure was. Wowee. Can you believe it?
I didn't realize I was so talented until now.
I know. Well, congratulations. You sure have made it. Be the writer of the intro to my podcast.
That's it. This is my moment.
Mm-hmm, sure is. Definitely
This
not
is
all
what
the success you had on YouTube. Definitely not anything else.
Well, sure.
Anyway, we've been talking for a little bit. Prior to this, we recorded a bonus episode, which you can listen to probably before the proper episode goes up, because I want y'all to have some context for the stuff that we're going to talk about. But yeah, we've been talking for a little bit here about all sorts of fun stuff with like monsters that we might want to make.
We got off track.
We got a little sidetracked, admittedly, but you know, it is kind of that way sometimes. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this right now, so here we go again.
I mean, I was definitely a distraction in my high school classes, and teachers didn't appreciate that. But you know what? In this day and age, that's what you call content, baby.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, all these dark corridors that we go down, all these random off ramps that we take, that's content, as you said. So
the bleak recesses of the human mind, and talking about, pub dwellers, all that kind of stuff. If you want to make sense of these statements, then sign up to Patreon and get the exclusive podcast. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
This will probably be on the public feed, actually. It's just like, it's going to be a bonus episode on its own, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah, look for it there then, you fools.
Considering some of the dark places that we went to, and like some of the very like positive messages we had there, I just feel like kind of bad about making that like you have to pay to hear it, because I feel like there's some good stuff in there.
That's a fair point, yeah. It's more stuff out there, more variety. I wish I could figure out how to do that with my stuff, to be honest with you, but maybe one
just
day.
Have me on. We'll find stuff.
Yeah, I can do that. I've considered making a podcast at one point, but my self-esteem sort of gets in the way of it, because I'm like, who the fuck wants to listen to you for an hour? Yeah.
Well, not to jump back on that train, but I could listen to you for an hour every time, so.
Oh, thank you. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll give it a shot someday, see
Make
how
it
it
for an
works out.
audience of me.
Even though I'm like in touch with like 3 content creators and that's it. I never tried to get involved with all the other people in my supposed field. But I don't know. I could just bring on a guy called Gary, see what he thinks.
There you go. Yeah, that one British guy called Gary who's in every pub. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, just bring him on.
Rosacea?
Yeah, with very problematic rosacea. Like, you're worried about him because his face is so red. Or,
oh yeah,
because as we call them in the UK, I don't know if you've heard this term before, but like generally, like angry white xenophobes/racists in the UK have a nickname. We'll call them gammon, which is sort of like because I know they don't really have it in the US. But it's sort of like a thick cut.
No, we just call those Americans.
But gammon is like a thick cut of like bacon, like the back of bacon. I think I'm not 100%. It's delicious. But I don't eat pork anymore, so I can't have it. But gammon is like a sort of a popular-ish dish that you can get from like pubs in the UK, or you have it with like a Sunday dinner or something. But it's also very red, or very pink, I guess. But racists, xenophobes, etc., like middle-aged boomers, etc., that voted for Brexit, vote Tory, vote Reform. Their nickname is gammon in the UK, which is a fantastic term for it. Lost in translation a little bit, culture speaking, but in the UK, that's a top-notch insult for someone like that.
Awesome. So if you ever go to the UK and you want to insult somebody, just call them gammon or gammon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gammon. Yeah. Gammon.
Oh.
But if you end up like in a taxi with some guy who is talking about immigrants and all that kind of stuff, it's like, tell you what, problem is that Britain is supposed to be for the British, and all them immigrants coming over here taking our jobs. That guy, that's a gammon right there.
Yeah. So call
and
him.
You tell that taxi driver to let you out immediately and try and find another one.
Yeah. And I'm not paying that fare. It's on his tab. So there you go.
Fuck no.
Yeah. But that's good to know. I'm always looking for new ways to insult racists. So.
I mean, my goal in life is to learn derogatory terms. Not terrible derogatory terms, but like insults and such, and swear words in as many languages as possible.
Hell yeah.
I've not been working on it very well, if I'm honest with you, but I do have, a handful.
Well, you know what they say in Germany, Himmel, Dom, Wetter.
What does that mean?
I don't actually remember. It's something about gods and heaven and thunder and something like that.
Is it
Let me
supposed to be
actually
an
look it up
insult?
really quick because it might not be what I think it is.
You might have just said something horribly racist and not realized.
Himmel, Donner, Wetter is what it is. This is the... Oh, it's just damn it, is essentially.
Oh, that's a long way of saying damn it.
Himmel, Donner, Wetter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's way too long.
Way too long, you're right. Everything in the German language is the same kind of way, though. It's too long.
It's like it's way too long and harsh. Like, for example, the word butterfly. It's got a certain rhythm to it in the English language. It sounds delicate, as a butterfly is. Yeah. In German, it's Metterschling, which it makes it sound like a very, very sturdy tank.
It definitely doesn't sound like a butterfly, I'll tell you that much.
No, not at all. Like, what do they think of butterflies there? They're a threat to humanity with a word like that.
You know what they say about the butterfly effect? When it flaps its wings on one side of the world, it could have a tornado on the other side of the world. That's why. It's because over here we say butterfly. Over there, they're getting the hurricane or whatever, the tornado, what have you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it made the movie with Ashton Kutcher much darker than it actually was. Even though it was a pretty dark movie, to be honest with you.
I've never actually seen that, but
it's okay. It's all right.
I feel like it maybe didn't age quite so well.
Probably not, but that's pretty much everything from the 2000s.
Very true. Oh, the 2000s. What a time to be alive.
It's a Wild West, baby.
It really was. Oh, wow. Let me tell you, the internet back then, totally different place.
Oh, yeah. Those 56K downloads and eventually broadband.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I can use
YouTube.
Oh, God, no. Oh, young YouTube. The early days of YouTube. Has its charms in a way, but at the same time, good God, those early YouTubers. Oof. I could not like those even if I tried.
Yeah, it's a real shitload of fuck, let me tell you that much.
Hey, I get that reference.
That joke is so old that Chuck Norris beat it up or something. I don't know.
2 Donkey Kongs?
Oh. Anyway, so we're here to make some monsters, which I guess we should probably get around to doing because we spent like 2 hours.
We're gonna
just
fall down
shooting
another
the breeze,
rabbit hole.
and
Yeah.
I love talking to you, as is evident in the bonus episode that you all should check out if you haven't already. It's so we're gonna start off with a monster that I kind of came up with the name this morning. I was watching Dimension 20 with my fiance, and this word just came to mind for some reason, and I just had to like bring it up during this podcast, and that is Whifflebomb. And so that's gonna be our first monster today. Is the Whifflebomb.
Interesting origin. Whifflebomb. It sounds like a children's toy that was recalled very quickly for all of the limbs that it caused children to lose.
Too true.
Hey kids, have you heard of Whifflebomb? What is that? Well, it's a ball that you toss around that has a legitimate bomb inside of it.
You hit it with a bat, and you regret it immediately afterwards. That's what they call, what do you call it? That immediate feedback or something like that.
Yeah, wow, sounds fun. Oh, is it? It isn't. But, you know, it's available for you to buy. Tell your parents to buy you a Whifflebomb.
I'm sure they'll be very happy with that.
Make sure that their insurance covers it. Both home and medical.
Home, medical, car in some situations.
Possibly life of a child.
Yep. And themselves. Maybe even pets.
Sure. But Whifflebomb as a monster concept. So Whiffle, Whiffle has like sort of a airy kind of.
It's like a wiffle ball.
Yeah. So Whiffle, airy, like audio kind of thing, you know, the sound of something whiffing by you. But bomb obviously has like that kind of connotation that of danger, explosive, etc. But you know, there are bombs that aren't necessarily something that will decimate a human body or that of an animal or anything. There's like stink bombs. So if we combine those two things together, you know, Whiffle, and, you know, like I said, that can be auditory, it could be wind. I imagine it would be some kind of creature that travels on the wind, that is able to distribute itself perhaps in multiple directions, sort of a hive. So maybe just particles. It's something that might be difficult to see, but it's able to cause an explosion wherever it may land.
I like that idea. I think that it would be. So I kind of had a similar vision when I thought that the name was kind of like something light, airy, and then like you said, something like a bomb might be dangerous. I'm thinking it. I'm not necessarily thinking it might be something like particle size, but definitely smaller.
Yeah. It could be like a wiffle
maybe
ball,
like an insect size, or like a wiffle ball. Yeah, like maybe you see it coming like from like a mile away, you know, kind of thing. Maybe not a mile away, but you know,
let me look up
it's pretty obvious.
A wiffle ball. Just okay. So yeah, it's been a while since I've seen one. Yeah. So it's got like the holes in it. So the ball is hollow with a series of holes inside of it. So I guess I feel like I'm designing a Pokemon here. Because I feel like a lot of Pokemon these days are just designed on things that the creators have seen on TV or in the office or something like that.
Very true.
Because like I know
this is what you get to after 14 episodes.
That is true. Because I think there's even like a Pokemon that's literally just like a set of keys, which has to be the laziest design I've ever seen.
I've never heard of that, but that's hilarious.
It's a real thing. Yeah, that's like, with something like that, I just imagine it's like 0 hour in the office. It's like, you got to come up with, we need one more Pokemon design. You got to get it done. I was like, okay, my keys are on the desk. Oh, there's a Pokemon right there. I'll call it,
Clavier bot.
Kibo or something. But yeah, well, I guess
Ebo is a wonderful name.
it's actually a name of a character in Danganronpa V3. But that's besides the point.
Oh.
He's a robot. But
Oh.
there is, yeah, like wiffle ball. I guess not necessarily be like an aerosol thing, but let's base the design on the actual wiffle ball. I think like maybe give it like some scales, some fur, something which infers there is some kind of creature, or human skin. Maybe that'll make it weirder.
Oh yeah, let's make him fleshy.
So with the holes in it, that could be like where it perhaps disperses something from it. But then we'd have to look at the bomb element.
Yeah. Because I like the thought of like what you said with like the stink bomb earlier. Like maybe it's just a bunch of like stinky, like they'll throw out like stink bombs or something like that. This is the most malodorous monster.
Yeah, there we go. Working it back into the intro. But yeah, like I guess it could like shoot stink bombs. What those bombs would look like though, I mean, it could be like other smaller wiffle balls that appear from it, and those can shoot even smaller bombs out of it, kind of like a matryoshka.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it just like, boom, and then outside of that, boom, all these tiny bombs come out, leaves a bunch of stink in its wake. What would that smell be though, is the question. What do you think?
I think it might be an objective kind of thing. I think it figures out what the worst smell that you possibly could think of would be, and it'll attack you with that. Like, I know in our bonus episode, you talked about how you hate the smell of like beer.
Yes.
So it would probably hit you with like a bunch of like barley and hops, like scents. Like, you know, and
that's because I was talking about like how like the other day at our apartment complex, I opened up a trash can, and inside of that was a bunch of beer cans from July 4th, and the smell was overwhelmingly disgusting. So yeah, I despise that smell. That and what else? There is something I can't. It's not coming to mind right now, but there is one particular smell I cannot stand. I'm more of a touch person, really. Like touches, certain textures bother me. Whether it's like something that I eat or something that I touch. Like, have you ever scraped the bottom of something ceramic with your fingernail?
yeah, I don't have as much problem with that, but I understand what you're saying, because like if I rub against like a piece of styrofoam, that drives me like just crazy.
That too. Or like if you ever like pull a piece of styrofoam out of a box that's like tightly packed in there, it just has a horrible scraping feeling. Ugh.
Yeah. God.
Thank God they're using styrofoam less and less these days.
I know.
But yeah, I like your idea, the bespoke odor. It gives it a little bit of a, eldritch kind of vibe to that, since it's tapping into our human fears and dislikes and everything.
Yeah. Do we think that this thing would have like eyes, like regular features, like an eye, eyes, a mouth, like
perhaps
ears, what have you, or is it just like a ball?
I mean, it's the annoying thing now is that I can't divorce the idea of it looking like a Pokemon after mentioning it. So in my head right now, it's kind of looking like a Pokemon, cartoonish, etc., albeit with human-looking flesh on the outside.
Man, if Nintendo didn't get litigious, I would just release a shirt that said Pokemon are monsters too.
I mean, you know what? I found this out the other day. You know the game Palworld?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, even though all of the creatures in that look like they could be lifted from a Pokemon game, apparently they have never heard a single thing from Nintendo in regards to it.
That's wild.
It is. Like you just said, Nintendo are very litigious. They will come after you for the smallest thing. And they will more often than not win. But yeah, for Palworld, like, you would have thought that'd be a given. But nope, they just let it be.
They're like, that's too easy of a layup. We want something that's a little bit more complicated.
That's the only thing I can think of, yeah. But, if you wanted to make a disgusting looking wiffle ball that looks like a Pokemon, go for it. Follow your
Yeah.
dreams.
He's just got big old anime eyes and
Yeah, like the Ash Ketchum eyes on it. Make him like Brock, actually, the closed eyes.
yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think it should have a nose because in that case, it would end up smelling its own disastrous smells, which it probably doesn't want to do. And I assume it might have some internal olfactory system so it can actually discern what the smell might be. Molecular, the molecular structure or something like that. But
I just had like this weird vision in my brain of like what it could do to like determine what smells you thought were the most disgusting, and it became even more horrifying because have you ever seen like these people will put like wet ink down and they'll like blow on it and it will create like all these little striations and like branching kind of like designs on paper. Yeah,
you're blowing it with like a straw to push out the directions and everything.
Yeah. I'm thinking, what if it has these branches that like grow out of its like body and like kind of jam into your nose?
Oh my god, that sounds
And try
horrifying.
to like, I know, and like try to figure out like what smell you hate the most, like to really like drive the point home that you should not be here, kind of thing. Which I feel like it goes back to the old saying, you can't pick your friend's nose, and kind of takes it to the extreme.
I've never heard that saying. What is that supposed
it was
to
like
imply?
the whole saying is like, you can pick your friends, you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose.
Okay.
Which I probably should have said the full context because it would have made a lot more sense. But yeah, I'm feeling like it might do something like, that to, first of all, make you horribly uncomfortable, but secondarily, to gain information about you as a person. Kind of thing.
I mean, in my mind at first I was going for like more of just sort of like a sidekick link, like I could do so from afar. But if you want to add the extra horror element to it, add to the eldritch vibe and whatnot, I guess, that'd be a horrifying way for it to connect to the human brain.
Yeah.
And
it just like, I don't know what brought that to mind, but yeah.
I mean, that's weird that you thought of that, but, Godspeed. Yeah, I think that works. Would it like come out from the bottom of it? Like it's got a little sphincter at the bottom where all these tendrils come out of?
Yeah, why not? Let's make it even more repulsive, actually.
Yeah. This is awful.
This is a horrible critter.
It is, yeah. This isn't this isn't one of those things that like like a deadly creature that you can look at and it's like, oh, it's a cute thing, but it's a shame it's deadly. Like a bear, Except this bear is utterly horrifying.
It's kind of like the movie Society.
Yes. Or like what was it? Oh, this movie is an old B movie called Phantasma, I think. Have you heard of that?
Oh, I think so. Are you talking about Phantasm, the one where it's like the tall man and the silver ball that he like flings at people?
That's it. Yeah. Just the ball attaching to someone's head. That reminds me of that, and then like all the blood comes spewing out of it and everything. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that.
It's a very effective movie. Yeah.
But like, I guess also we have to ask as well. Like, obviously you got the stink bombs, but like, is there any other kind of bomb that is capable of producing? Would it be like, I don't know, like, an explosion, or even like a hallucinogenic that it could release from it,
I think so. Feel free to play with this as you want.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a way that we could do this is it has like different tiers of like security kind of thing, So like the first one is, I'm going to jam all these tentacles up your nose and you're not going to like it very much. That should be enough for most people.
Right.
But like if you continue on anyway, then it releases the stink bombs. And then if it continue on anyway and you go through the fog, because I'm imagining that these stink bombs are like, since you said it's like a Matryoshka doll, you know, kind of thing, it's plentiful and spreads very wide. Kind of like, have you played Helldivers?
No, I've been interested in playing it, but yeah, my way for it to go on sale.
I gotcha. There's this one monster that like releases all this like fog of just like stink that goes like everywhere. It's like pretty wide ranging. So I'm imagining that the longer you stand in the fog or in the stink that this thing creates, you begin to experience hallucinations. And it's like of the most terrifying things that you can imagine, because again, it's got its tentacles all up in your nose, or it does for a little bit anyway.
Kind of like a,
so it knows what you're scared of.
kind of like a ayahuasca spirit journey or something like that.
Yeah.
Which, you know, always like, I don't know, as long as it's not like, because one trope that I've never been a fan of on like TV shows, movies, is when they have the episode where they have like a drug trip or something and they just start acting all weird, like, especially if it's just like some weed or something, like, you know, oh man, I'm having all these hallucinations, oh my god, and it's like half an hour of that, and it's oh, who cares? Like, I'm sure that they had fun making it, but at the same time it's like, okay, I get it, like, we don't need to see all this. So maybe it could be something along those lines, or it could just be straight up horrifying, like stuff that changes your brain forever.
Yeah, like you see into the void of space and you recognize like how
tiny we are.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can never get over it.
I had an idea.
Go on.
I had an idea and it just like it bums me out because it like left me.
What was it?
But I'll have to come back to it later. It was it left my mind.
I know.
So
you know.
I was thinking like it might be territorial. You know, like
Yeah.
if you come on into its territory, then that's what it'll do. Like okay, so kind of like how it like plumbs your brain for like all of the information and stuff like that and what you find revolting. What if it also like planted spores inside of your head and that's what caused the hallucination?
Yeah.
Like the longer the spores are, you know, exposed to the stink, like,
So would it be like a permanent thing, or would it just be like, would the spores die off or something like that?
I think if you got into oxygen, then they would die. I think that, you know, if you got back to like normal environment, like it would cease to exist.
I mean, this.
But I think that as long as, I don't know.
I mean,
I
get it. It's more of the invasive kind of biology of a creature like this. I mean, I guess, would it be like a defense mechanism or a territory mechanism? Because creatures that release potent smells tend to do so for the sake of territory. You know, like dogs end up pissing on things.
That's
cats,
true.
similar kind of thing. They'll pee on things in order to say, like, this is mine. And cats will even just, like, you know, rub their faces on stuff, because when they do that, release pheromones. But, yeah, with the spore thing, is it like they're taking over, claiming territory on a human or something like that?
What do you think? Do you think that makes sense? Because in my mind, what happens eventually, like the final stage of this, is you become a Whifflebomb. Like you just eventually devolve into like a wiffle ball. That's just like your pores get extra big and you start shooting out like these things as well.
This is like getting into trypophobia territory now.
Yeah.
We need to step back from this.
Content warning.
Yeah. Let's I'm gonna wipe that off the whiteboard.
Okay.
Let's see. So yeah, you got like, you know, it is invasive. But what else does it do? Like, what is it? Is it just driven to do this because of its biology? Is it looking to gain something from another human being? Is it
that's a good question.
a creature that purely exists for the sake of chaos? Or is it created by another entity in a lab or something like that, and it's just taken a life of its own. Because, something like that feels like it's sort of the machinations of someone who clearly doesn't like people. They have a grudge against human beings, and human beings not smelling stuff that smells bad enough. So like, fuck you and your nose. It could be created by someone who doesn't have a nose, and therefore is envious of people that do, and said, "Oh yeah, you think having a nose is so great? Check out my Whifflebomb, and then you will see what you feel about having a nose." And it sends it off, makes people smell something stinky, and it's like, "Oh no, I wish I didn't have a nose right now." And whoever made it's like, "Haha." And yeah.
Like maybe it's a mad scientist who's trying to prevent people from coming into his laboratory or something like that. Like this is
it's like
equivalent of like a guard
and
dog.
then like this person shows up with their lack of nose, and it's like, I bet you wish you were me right now. I don't have a nose, I can't smell shit right now. And they're like, you in this time, Dr. Nostril. Professor Nostril.
More like Dr. Nostril, am I right? Patreon.com/justalittle-guy.
Absolutely. Yes, send $50 right now for that joke. No one draw this.
Please don't.
I don't want to see it visualized ever. I already have it in my brain. I'm glad that I'm not a good enough artist to make this to materialize this in some way, shape, or form.
Now, so one of the things I try to incorporate as well is like where it would fit into the story, and I think that like, a guy who's upset about like not being able to smell stuff, wreaking havoc on the world for that, is a good story to have. I don't know where the second part of my sentence is in that. I think it's a good place to put that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it works. I like the idea of it being created by something, if only because it gives me comfort, not knowing that there isn't just these things being produced ad infinitum somewhere in the galaxy. Because, with any kind of species out there that I feel doesn't have a place in the grand scheme of things, like, for example, wasps, fuck wasps.
Yeah.
They're terrible creatures. Bees are great. I have no problem with bees. But wasps are just like the arsehole version of bees, except they don't make honey. And honey is great. What do wasps make? Chaos. Discomfort.
Oh, they're the
One
worst.
of them the other day on our patio tried to start building a hive on the patio. I was like, this is not happening. I won't allow this. Even their hives are ugly. Beehives, they have structure. Yeah. They have organization to them. They produce. Wasps, what do? Yeah. Wasps are the real monster here, if we're being honest.
They truly are. Fuck wasps. And I don't like those kind of bees either,
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but wasps, bees... they sting you because they're defending themselves. Wasps will just do it, because they feel like it. And to add insult to injury, bees die when they sting you. Like, they give up their life for the queen. It's some honor in what they do. Wasps, they get to live after they sting you. I'm like, haha, I get to live, and just fly off.
I'm going to sting you again, too. Watch me.
Yeah,
I'll bring all of my brethren in.
Yeah, we're going to build a hive right outside of your window, make you afraid to leave your house ever again.
Makes perfect sense. Worst critters in the world.
Get rid of them. I'm not an expert, but I don't feel like the world's ecosystem would suffer with the removal of wasps.
I feel like I can't think of anything that wrong with that. Yeah.
This is now an anti-wasp podcast.
Yeah, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants as well as wasps.
God. Yeah. Oh wait, yeah. Them as well. The acronym. Get rid of them.
Yeah. It's not
The
1983 anymore, Nancy.
the pent up weirdos,
Mm-hmm.
the
Going
most
to a swingers
repressed
party for
people.
crying out loud. Jeez.
Yeah, drink a non-diet Coke.
Yeah. Anyway.
Use a swear word. They're fun.
Yeah. Curse every once in a while. Why not?
But not on YouTube. Can't do that.
No, you can't even say the word abortion on YouTube, apparently. So
Really?
I don't know. Somebody said something about like it'll get you demonetized right away, and yeah.
There is I have looked it up at one point, like a list of words, because I've spoken about like mental health topics on my videos. We spoke about it a bit earlier. But like one term that is basically instant demonetization, and there's a reason I don't use it anymore. And because this is going to be going on YouTube, I won't use it here. But the word, and I will put it in a different way, is basically to self-end one's life. That is instant demonetization there. And my video about loneliness in Japan ended up being killed in momentum, in views and everything, because I had a section where I was talking about that, even in a very sensitive and educational way. So yeah, don't use that word. Someone did a test where they checked 15,000 words on YouTube, and a surprising amount of them get demonetized. Like words that you would never think of. And that was one of them.
Right. And then there's also ones where it'll be like, during Pride Month, like you can't say anything about being gay or like a lesbian or anything like that.
Yeah, I remember that there was a whole furore about that a while back, and rightfully so, because like there were people making LGBTQ content, and they ended up being demonetized for it, just because I think YouTube treated it as though it was under the umbrella of being disparaging towards LGBTQ people,
Right.
which is what you get when you have a website that moderates things on blanket statements, or assuming that everything falls under the same category. Thankfully they overturned that, but apparently some people still do have problems with that, which should not be the case. But YouTube is YouTube. YouTube handles its site terribly, but that's not new.
It does. Been that way for at least 10 years, probably longer, honestly.
Oh yeah, it never ends, which is why it's important to support your creators over sites like Patreon, Coffee, Buy Me a Coffee. So go help Ron out, support himself through other means than YouTube views.
Thank you. At
send him
$5. Just a little guy.
Yeah, send him $5 in the mail.
Yeah, you can find me at. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to give out my address anymore. My bad.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. Well, just leave $5 on the ground, and Ron will find it.
I will find it. I have a knack for finding change on the ground that people have dropped. Sometimes I'll be honest and give it back, and sometimes I won't see who dropped it. So.
Oh no, finders keepers. That shit's going right in my pocket.
Yeah.
You dropped $1. You dropped $1. That's my dollar.
Mm-hmm. You were just giving it to me. You did it clumsily. That's all.
Yeah, you don't need this dollar, clearly. You didn't care about it enough to notice that it was gone until now, but
yeah,
that's how this world works. It's dog eat dog,
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta buy dog food.
Oh, no.
I don't have a dog.
You just like dog food?
Can we move on to the next monster, please?
Okay, next monster. Here we go. All right. So our next creature, we kind of talked about earlier. Okay, I think we already did this one. I was going to go into the oratory flavor pandemonium one, but I think the Whifflebomb pretty much captures that.
Yeah.
At the end of your last video, you said, if you watched all the way to the end, type something about Bingus McDingus.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would like to do, if is all the same to you, is define who or what Bingus McDingus is.
Yeah, Bingus McDingus. Okay, so once again, if we're looking at like root words and everything like that, so dingus is, commonly used as like just an insult to someone. Call it you dingus. It means I'm like they're kind of a fool.
Yeah.
So McDingus, the muck, implies that they are Scottish as well. So we can throw that into this mixture at some point. Now, Bingus. Now, that I'm not too sure about.
Obviously, they use Bing.
Obviously. Which, by the way, if you ever want to throw someone off, like, just make them confused for a brief moment. Like, you tell someone, like, oh, go Google it. Or, Google it, you'll find out. Just say to them, Bing it. And you will get the most confused look you can imagine from someone. Oh, yeah, you should Bing it. Wait, what? Bing it. Okay.
Bing it. Go Bing it.
Yeah, Bing it. Why are you saying that? It's Bing. Why do you say Google it? What's Google?
That would really throw them off.
Yeah. In fact, if you do that with any famous concepts. Like, I remember one time I confused someone who was talking about Star Wars. And I just said, what's Star Wars? And they had the best look of confusion I could imagine. It was great. It's fun. Real life shenanigans.
So yeah, go with something off-brand that you might not necessarily see normally. Be like, hey, do you want some Utz cheese balls? Like, I don't know. Would you like a bandage instead of would you like a Band-Aid,
Yeah. Or go into a fast food place and ask for something that is absolutely not on the menu. Actually, don't do that. Those people at work, they're already put up with enough. So
I have to tell you this story real quick.
Go on.
I'm sorry to divert onto another rabbit trail.
It's
but
fine.
I work at a fast food restaurant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody came in the other day and they were asking for, by the way, not even close to our demographic. It was they were looking for cheesy breadsticks. I work at a taco place, and that is not a thing that we have there.
Yeah, it's like an
cheesy breadsticks.
Italian restaurant thing, that is.
Yeah, if you were at a pizzeria, I would understand that, but at a taco place,
Yeah,
I don't know, buddy.
That's an odd one. That's like asking for chicken nuggets or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that they're confusing people because they keep on bringing back the fries and then giving them, like taking them away.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, well, clearly I can get other, fast food things here. Like,
Yeah, they have everything.
one guy was like, can I get a Big Mac? And I'm like, I think you're looking for the place across the street, buddy.
Wait, someone actually asked for a Big Mac?
They certainly did.
Oh my god.
They asked for a Big Mac at the taco place, and now, granted, I can't make very much fun of them because they were elderly, and I think they were legitimately confused. But at the same time,
They were elderly, you said?
yeah,
Oh, okay. So they probably lacking some facilities, I assume, if they're asking a question like that.
oh yeah,
Fair enough,
But,
I guess. Still kind of
Yeah.
weird.
yeah. But we also have people who will come in and they'll just be inebriated, at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my god.
And they'll kind of do the same thing. Like, have you got this thing? I'll be like, that's like 3 blocks down, brother.
It's like, I just make something completely non-existent or something like that. And I think good way of doing it would be if you go into the restaurant and you look at the signs behind the employees, with the menus on, just do a thing where you're coming up with your decision, you're deciding what you want to eat, then you just point at the menu and say something like, yeah, can I have some cheesy bread poppers, please? And I'm like, what the?
Yep.
That's not a thing. What are you pointing at?
Oh, that's right. I had a dream about those. My bad.
Yeah, that makes it material. Can you make them then? I don't know what that is.
I don't know what it involves. Well, it made perfect sense in my dream.
Yeah, it's got bread. It's got
This is
cheese.
what happens when you work. Yeah. It's a popper. Come on.
Yeah.
You throw in some peppers in there.
What's the popper
That's what happens
part?
when you work customer service too long.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a good point.
It goes completely into the weirdest places you can imagine. People, customers, bunch of weirdos that expect far too much from service workers. Support your service workers. And don't get angry with them, even if they are not fulfilling your needs or anything. They're putting up with too much already.
Most of us are trying our hardest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And don't be upset if their heart and soul isn't into it, because they're working a service job.
Yeah, this is a job to us, not something that we're passionate about.
Yeah, it's weird how people expect that from service workers. Like, where's the pride? And I'm like, what pride?
If you worked here, you would not have pride. Let me tell you.
It's like, it's hard to find pride in any job where you have to wear a name tag. Like, that's just the nature of those jobs. Like, I've had plenty of those jobs where you wear a name tag, and they're all like, jobs where, unless you're like trying to be some weirdo that's trying to become manager or something like that, and
Oh yeah, who tries anymore? Honestly.
Yeah, why? What's the point in trying in places like that? You go there, you make the food, you give them the food, you move on with your lives.
Yeah, they're just gonna give that position to their kid anyway.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Because they will accept the crap you pay for it. So it's it's always been one of those things. It's like and it's always boomers like say like you should have some pride in this. And like no.
Mm-hmm.
I flipped burgers when I was going through college to pay my way through. That's really cool, sir. Was your college 6 figures a year?
Who would do all this kind of stuff is Bingus McDingus.
That's true, yeah. Bingus McDingus.
I think Bingus McDingus would be rude to service workers.
Yeah, he's a bit of a fool. He's a bit Scottish. Mm-hmm. And those two things aren't correlated with each other, just to be clear.
No. I don't want to get beat up by the Scottish another time.
God, no. You will be murdered, especially if you're in Glasgow. Mm-hmm. But let's see. Yeah, the Bingus part is kind of throwing me off. Bingus. Bin is a trash can. Well, we most commonly refer to trash in the UK as the bin.
So he lives in a trash can.
Well, it could also be Bingus kind of sounds like a classic nerd character name from like an 80s movie.
That is so true.
Like, you'll get the jock coming up to him, like the bully jock. So, you do my homework, Bingus? And I was like, yes, it's here. And, they'll just like give them the math homework. Jock will swipe it out of their hands. And so, this better be an A. Bingus. But then you have the contrary side thing. Obviously is a nerd, smart, but McDingus. So there is a duality there. Is a bit of a dingus at the same time. Now, how is he a dingus? No, as classic 80s nerds go, they're not too great with women, Like
Very true.
They have a hard time in that respect. But now, if we take that into consideration, put all those parts together, this quote-unquote monster is just a nerd character from an 80s movie.
Well, maybe it's the ghost of a nerd character from the old 80s movies who's come back for revenge.
On the jocks.
Yeah, on the John. Yeah, I think that's what he said.
On the jocks.
On the jocks, yes.
Yeah.
I thought you said on the John, like on the toilet, and I was like,
I mean,
okay,
that
sure.
could be that could be one thing that they do, but let's see. So yeah, that could be a thing, and all those all those like 80s horror movies or whatever, revenge movies, whatever it is, in keeping with those, what they would usually have is like the nerd like tries to ask a girl out and they get rejected, possibly even laughed at, and then when they come back for revenge, they end up like killing the girl. I want to leave that off the table because there's quite a bit of sexism embroiled in something like that, so we'll leave that out. It should just purely be the jocks, the chads as they're known these days.
Right.
So Bingus, I imagine what he will probably do is, since he gets asked to do homework for jocks so often, he would, I think, punish them with education.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it would be, I think, a poetic justice kind of situation. And maybe expose them to so much maths that their brain would explode.
That's kind of a wild idea, but I like it.
Like, it would give them, like, now that they're a ghost, now that they're dead, probably died from a science experiment while they were doing their nerd shit in the lab.
I'm going to get revenge on these guys yet. Blows themselves up.
Yes. Like, creates like a, I don't know, creates like some kind, oh my god, he creates the Whifflebomb.
Oh my lord, you're right. He blew off his own nose.
Full circle. Except in this case, he died.
Yep.
So, yeah, he like, comes up with some kind of like, I'm going to make a potion or something. And that potion will, it makes the jocks like piss themselves while doing football or something like that.
Yep.
I was like, we'll see how you like this. We'll see how popular you are when you piss yourself playing football. Or, a little bit of diarrhea maybe. That's a bit more embarrassing, more visible.
This potion of spontaneous incontinence will be the most brutal thing I've ever created.
Yes. And then, it ends up exploding while he's working on it. And then they evacuate themselves completely to death. And then,
oh no,
back as a ghost at that point. And he thinks to himself, well, I wouldn't have felt the need to do something like this if it wasn't for those damn jocks. Time to get revenge. And what do jocks hate the most? Education.
Learning.
Becoming worldly. Yes. They dedicate themselves to sports for like 30 odd years of their lives. And then they carry on with the rest of their lives talking about how good they used to be at sports. Like anyone cares. But instead, I was like, no, you're not going to do sports. So they give them like a curse where every single time they step onto the football field or what have you, it's actually a math class.
Oh no.
And it's like...
And this happens for the entirety of their life. Anytime they try to go to work or whatever, they try to do anything fulfilling.
Yeah, like they end up just having to solve equations for the most simplest of things, and it drives them to madness. And yeah, Bingus is just there laughing. And also, like, it ends up ruining their relationships with, like, the hot cheerleader or what have you, the girlfriends. It's just like, oh, whenever my girlfriend speaks, she's just talking in equations now. Like, I don't know how to speak to her.
I just hear nerd talk.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't understand this. And they're caught in a trap where it's like, well, if I end up wanting to understand what's being said here, I have to learn math. But I can't do that because I'm not a nerd. I'm a jock. And so they're just stuck in this eternal purgatory of conflict where they're like, I am a jock, but I can't be a nerd. What do I do here? And then Bingus is just there laughing at them with his Scottish accent.
Oh my god, I can't even do a nerd thing with a Scottish accent, but that's a great idea.
I could probably try a bit of Scottish. It's like, oh, look at you now. You can't be a jock anymore. You're stuck. You got to be a nerd. That was probably terrible.
No, that sounded pretty good to me.
I'll ask Scott.
As long as we don't go on tour to Glasgow, like you said,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure we'll be fine.
Yeah. You never should have crossed paths. You never should have crossed paths with Bingus McDingus. Nerd extraordinaire.
I'm sorry, I was just finishing my passport to Scotland thing here, my application to move to Scotland. What was that you were saying?
I said, I'm Bingus
McDingus.
McDingus.
McDingus, yeah.
Using my nerd powers for revenge. As they should be.
All he does, he's like the greatest math student they've ever had like gives the teacher an apple, all that kind of stuff. He's just eventually bullied to. Yeah.
It was either making the potion or making Facebook. And given what Facebook turned out to be, I'm glad I made the potion.
I'd prefer that. At least that way I'm not a real monster.
At least I don't influence the world in dark directions and change your grandmother's opinions forever.
Oh, you didn't want your grandma to know what a adrenochrome is? Well, let me tell you something, sunshine.
Now your dad is asking for hydroxychloroquine from the doctor. My dad's at the doctor just asking for ivermectin, and he says, if you don't give it to me, I'm going to go to a vet and pretend that I own a horse.
Apparently, one of the meanings for dingus is also penis. So there you go.
Wait, you cut out a moment there, and you came back exactly when you said penis, so what was it you said?
On the dictionary website, dingus is listed as a penis.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. And it is one of those, it's got multiple meanings to it. And yeah, it does have that meaning too, which I think is why. No, I guess. Well, it's a weird thing because like dingus is used like as a derogatory thing to call someone like an idiot / referring to a penis, and then at the same time, you gotta like you could like if you call someone a dick, for example, that means something else. Like it means penis at the same time, but it means that someone is being an arsehole, like. Just being a bad person. So it's an interesting one.
You're a penis and an asshole. How did you pull that off? I don't know, but you did.
What a truly special person you are. And there was, actually back when I was in, back in the day, I had some friends that like, we had this thing where like we'd call each other like very mild insults, like dingus being one of them. And I don't know why, but we thought it was hilarious. Like, if we called one of us like one of these like very mild words, like nincompoop or something, where like we reacted to it as though like it was a horribly vulgar insult to call someone. So you dingus, and one of us would reply like, you take that back. I don't know why. We just thought it was hilarious of just like overblowing this very childish insult. But that's a little insight into my past.
I feel like nincompoop is a way underutilized word.
It is.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's a very, very old school style insult. Feels Victorian.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Almost sounds Latin.
All right. Almost. Nincompoopy.
You can hear it in the Vatican right now.
Things I might not want to hear in the Vatican, actually. Anyway. Yeah, so we've got a nerd revenge ghost. A revenge of the nerds ghost, if you will.
A Scottish one.
As Bingus McDingus. A Scottish one at that, with a very convincing accent and love for mathematics. I'm picturing a scene in which, like, these jocks are, like, the football team, the entire football team is, like, basically having it out with him. And, like, maybe they go to sleep at night or something like that, and they have like one of these Freddy Krueger-esque nightmares where he's just jamming calculators into their face.
Yeah, like putting all those math tests right in front of them, turning people, making it so that when someone hears another person, all they hear is like equations and stuff, like, Pythagoras, hypotenuse, your 7 times table, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds
like, great. It's very nightmarish to me. So
as someone who, I remember my multiplications and whatnot, a little bit of dividing. I don't remember a shred of algebra. Well, I know a little bit, but like I don't know. It's went in one ear out the other by the time that I left high school. Yeah. And also, whenever I put numbers and statistics in my videos, there is always some Bingus McDingus that comes along to try and correct it, even though it is actually correct.
Yep. Fucking Bingus
like-
McDingus.
It's math nerds and philosophy nerds are always like the two people that come along to try and correct you when you mention those concepts in your videos. And it's just like, be quiet. You're not impressing anyone here.
Right.
So actually Nietzsche said this. Who cares?
Oh, good for him. Is he still with us? Is Nietzsche in this room right now?
Yeah, were you best friends with him? Is that how you know that he said this?
Yeah.
So actually, this concept is referring to this. Hegel said this. Hegel made no sense whatsoever.
Hegel. That's not even how you say his name.
Hegel, whatever. Like I don't know. Philosophy nerds
I
always
knew it
love
as
Hegel.
Hegel, but you know.
Hegel. That sounds like a medication, an ointment.
It kind of does, actually.
It's the generic term for ivermectin.
Oh, no.
Or
This is what my dad is asking for at the doctor.
or testosterone. Hegel.
All right, we're back again after some mild tech problems that may have required me to restart my computer and do a couple of other things. Pray for forgiveness from the Scottish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Apparently,
Famous Scottish
angered,
hackers.
I angered Bingus McDingus. So sorry about that. But we're back and we're here to make our third monster, which comes courtesy of a friend of the show, Hollow Static Observer, also known as Jello, who you can follow on all of the stuff from the last episode. And he's given me the monster name of Squonk McFacemaker.
Sounds like a character from Rick and Morty, like a character that's on screen for like 5 seconds or something.
You know, you're not wrong. I could totally see Rick being like, "Oh yeah, this is the Squonk McFacemaker. Yeah, he's something or other. Looks silly."
It's
And
my alien friend, and then, well, I guess Justin Roiland's no longer on the show. Then, he'd be like a little weird character. 5 seconds, probably dies, and then we continue. And then he's brought back like 5 episodes later as another bit, because the people that make the show was like, hey, everyone loves Squonk, let's bring him back.
Yeah, we love Squonk. Squonk is our number one merchandiser. Oh, wow.
Yeah, Pickle Rick.
Wowee. Remember when that show was popular? I guess
I will say, well, it had like that bizarre moment where everyone went crazy for it. But I will say, it is still a solid show. Like, I think it is like well written. I think its jokes are very good. It unfortunately went through that phase where like it became like an embarrassing thing to admit that you watched the show because of its fans. But I will say it still remains a solid show. I do like it, despite its otherwise tarnished reputation.
Right. I mean, just because something maybe became, it's kind of like you said earlier about like the hipster mindset. Like just because something became popular, or like because the loudest fans are like the most cringeworthy, doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that like is popular and has like untoward fan bases that's still like, no, but this is good though. Like
Yeah, it's like the Souls games, for example, like a community that is often insufferable, perhaps a bit too forgiving when it comes to the faults of these games, but still very enjoyable, well-made games.
yeah, definitely. Like, I haven't played a Souls game since the original Dark Souls on Xbox 360, but I can tell you from just living on the outside that they look beautiful. They seem difficult.
Yeah. They're very much so, and they probably need to tweak that a little bit. But Squonk McFacemaker, well, I mean, the last name, like, it's all there, like what their objective is. make faces.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how I could twist that in some kind of way. Other than like maybe a good monster that like helps people save face if they're in like an embarrassing situation or something.
Oh, I like that idea.
Yeah, it might not be, a case where they're just like, oh, I make faces, they're horrifying and all that kind of stuff. It could be just a monster that comes along. Perhaps it could even be like a adorable furry little fellow that just appears when you're in a situation where it's like, oh no, I farted in front of this group of people. How do I save face? And then Squonk comes along and I say, hey buddy, heard you farted in front of a bunch of people. Maybe like freezes time to
Yeah.
deal with the situation with limited interruptions. Just as like, I'm here to help you with it. And it's like, okay, what can you do for me, Squonk? How about a cool magic trick that I can show you? And you can then say, hey guys, you want to see a magic trick? And they'll forget all about the fart. And then, teach you like a coin trick or a card trick or something like that. And yeah, then time unfreezes and just say, hey, do you guys want to see a magic trick? And it's like, yeah, sure.
Of course.
Wow. Cool magic trick. I forgot about the other thing. And then Squonk is just there in a corner looking from behind the door. You give Squonk a thumbs up, he gives one back, and away he goes.
Hell yeah. I love this because I wanted to make a monster that was like, what do you call it there? Like a positive kind of thing. Like somebody that did something cool and beneficial to people. And I think that's a great concept there. Like, freezes time, tells you about like a magic trick or some other kind of cool thing that will, distract you from the embarrassment.
Yeah. Gives you a joke, or even just, gives you advice on like how to move past certain things. Because a lot of like saving face, unless it's like, horribly embarrassing or something, a lot of saving face from just like a little bit of a faux pas is mostly just rolling with the punches. You accept that everyone acknowledges something, like, you don't just pretend that it didn't happen or something, and you laugh it off a lot of times. But then you can also do other things like, divert the subject a little bit to something else, distraction, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Squonk comes along to help you accomplish that.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you know what? You didn't fart. I farted. Except that would be like, you wouldn't need to freeze time for that. So,
well, what he could do in that case, maybe he has like the ability to metamorphosis and can take on like a human form, and then, he could like pretend to be a human and just sort of shift himself into the group, act like he's been there the whole time, and he just puts his hand up and says, like, sorry guys, that was me. I let it rip there for a moment.
Yeah.
It wasn't this guy, so don't worry about it. Sorry if it's a little bit stinky.
We go right back to being malodorous.
Yeah, there we go. Full circle. And yeah, they just says like, oh, okay, no, it's fine. Everyone does it, And it's like, oh, cool. Anyway, what this guy was saying, let's continue listening to his amazing story. Yeah. There we go. Face saved.
There you go. Yeah, so
face
a couple different ways
made.
Yeah, face made. Or another idea that I had for that guy was like, so you said like help people like save face, but what if it's also like a thing where he also crafts faces for people who like maybe let's say they get attacked by like a chimpanzee or something like that, like that person famously did a few years ago. And he helps like craft faces for people who need like surgery, like.
Yeah, I mean, it's added utility to this world. There are even people that are like, if it could like be like true sort of magic on like say general like rhinoplasty or maxillofacial reconstruction, that kind of thing. Like, you know, if it's true restoration, and yeah, that would be a beautiful thing. Like helping people who've gone through some horrible thing, or even might not like how they look.
Yeah,
But then again, there might even be people out there who don't like how they look, but because Squonk is such a decent guy, it can offer him like life advice. And, you know, let's say, you know, you got beauty on the inside, and that's something you should be real proud of.
Yeah.
How you look, sure, people may judge you on appearances, and that's an awful thing, but that's other people. If you put yourself out there, they'll see who you are, and they'll see how bright your star shines. Like, wow, thanks, Squonk. I appreciate that. And I tell you what, if you do find that later down the line that you're still not happy with this, just give me another call, we can have another talk, or maybe we can make a new face for you.
Yeah.
So, well, can't I just have a new face now, Squonk? I feel like that'll resolve most of my problems.
No.
Don't worry about it. Bye.
Yeah. He specializes in like gender affirming care and stuff like that. You want your face more feminized, you want your face more masculinized. Yeah, you just
Absolutely.
call it Squonk McFacemaker. I almost called him Squonk McFonkmaker. I've got Bingus McDingus on the brain.
Oh no. That's the end for you.
Oh no.
Yeah, you know, it helps people in all different ways. You know, the face is the door to the soul, or so no one says. So yeah, doing something like that helps people on their journeys in life.
Yeah.
And I like the gender affirming one too, because, you know, that's something that a lot of people have a lot of struggles with, and it can be prohibitively expensive for a lot of people. And, you know, even if it's just a small adjustment that allows them to feel more comfortable in their own skin, Squonk could come along, make that happen for them.
Yeah. Such a wholesome little guy.
It is, indeed. As for what it looks like I said, could be just a little furry thing, maybe bipedal. What are the name of those, like, not like a gremlin. There was this really old toy.
Talking
I
about
think it might have been
Furbies?
before my time. No. It was like a... Was it Monster in My Pocket? Something like that? Let's see. Here, I found it on Pinterest, but I don't see any name for it.
Oh, wait a second. Yeah, My Pet...
Was it My Pet Monster?
This looks like, yeah, I've seen this.
Oh.
Like, but I would love it if this was like what Squonk McFacemaker would look like, though.
Yeah.
He's like adorable, but...
that kind of deal, you know? Just sort of like 80s monster, 80s cartoon monster, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And like the color scheme is great too, where it's like bright blue fur, like pink hair, like a purple muzzle, you know. It's bright and colorful, and he might not look the most welcoming, but also he's got this endearing quality about him, you know.
But once again, that falls in line with the overall theme about not judging by appearances or judging by one's impression on the world.
Yeah, I like that. Like he's a part therapist, part facial reconstructionist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
All
you know, it
around
doesn't
great
charge you a
monster.
penny for it as well.
Yeah, he doesn't know what money is. He's a monster.
The only thing that it likes eating is chicken nuggets.
Ah.
It survives purely on a diet of chicken nuggies. It calls them chicken nuggies.
Yeah.
As opposed to chicken nuggets, because it's fun like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's its diet. Like, you know, someone helps them out. It helps someone out, and then, you know, someone says, "Oh, how can I thank you, Squonk?" And it's like, "Oh, just give me some chicken nuggies, and I'll be happy with that. But if you don't have any, that's fine. I can just stop by at the Mackie D's. Maybe I can ask them at the local taco place, see if they got any."
Oh, I think this is going to be our first merch.
There you go.
There
I
we
mean,
go.
you got Squonk McFace. I
Squonk McFacemaker.
retained some of the revenue on this one.
Of course.
I want 10% on the back end.
Yeah, we're not gonna involve the people from My Pet
My
Monster
Pet
in this.
Monster. Nope.
This is a very different project.
We just invert the colors on it and say, there, it's a totally original concept.
Yeah, he's got orange fur and a blue muzzle.
Yeah, we definitely didn't just put this through Photoshop and use the invert function.
Mm-hmm. It's very true. We did not do that.
So yeah, I'm happy with our third monster being something that brings positivity into the world. Some, good vibes. Because, not all monsters are bad. We learned that from Monsters, Inc.
It's true. Monsters, Inc. taught us so much about that.
Actually, come to think of it, that monster does look a bit like Sully from Monsters, Inc.
Okay, well, let's not get Disney litigious on us too, okay?
Oh, goddamn. No, they will ruin your life. Like, they will go out of your way to ruin your life.
Uh-huh. They will destroy...
Did you ever hear about Disney and them sending a cease and desist to a kindergarten or a daycare?
Oh, I feel like I heard this story. Remind me of what it was, though.
So, yeah, it was a good while back. But a daycare, I think it was in the UK actually. A daycare had paintings of Disney characters on the wall, like Mickey Mouse and stuff. And I'll be honest, I don't know if this is a 100% true story. Because, I thought about it and thought to myself, like, well, how would Disney know about this thing? Because, it's just a little daycare center.
Right.
But the word is that they found out about the paintings on the wall and sent a cease and desist to this daycare center saying that you're using our characters without permission, and you have to contact us for this. And I think they implied that, like, if you do want to use those characters, then you have to pay something for it. So instead they decided, well, it's Disney, we better just paint over the walls. And afterwards, I think Hanna-Barbera reached out to them and said that if you want, you can use our characters and we won't charge you a thing for it. So then they ended up painting those on the walls instead.
That's nice.
It is. I like I said, I don't know whether it's a true story or not. I feel like it could just be one of those things. It's just like, I don't know, an internet story that people made up. But I don't know. I'd have to double check that. But if it is true, it stands to reason that Disney would behave like that. And at least it has a somewhat nice ending to it.
Yeah. Well, I like that they could have painted, the Hanna-Barbera stuff on there, and I think that it does. It's one of those stories where, like, even if it's an urban legend, it's one of those ones that's believable enough.
Oh, yeah.
I will tell you, I worked at a place where they had a Star Wars mural on the wall, and that's because it used to be the headquarters of the Disney Plus customer service thing.
Oh.
I could send you pictures of it afterwards, but, like, they said they had to spend, like, thousands of dollars to get the rights to, like, paint this wall, and then the pandemic started and they lost all that money basically.
Oh my god, that's rough.
But Disney painting Disney IPs on the wall costs a pretty penny. So what we're gonna do is not make this monster into Sully, because he's gonna be small, and
that's true.
Yeah, he's gonna be the size of Mike Wazowski.
Yeah, he'll be diminutive. Actually reminds me as well, there's another place nearby. There's this really good ice cream shop near where we live. And they, like, base their whole theme on, like, cartoons from the 90s. And they have, I think it's like Nickelodeon cartoon. In fact, Nickelodeon Cartoon Network, and even, they've got like Pokemon on the wall as well, a bunch of stuff. I have never asked them whether they got permission for it, but I feel like they haven't. And I feel like that is a lawsuit waiting to happen. Sometimes you just see these things and you're just like, I feel like they're going to get sued one day.
These characters might not be here soon.
That, and there was a place in the UK, near my old university, a noodle place, which they did really good, really nice noodles there. But the name of the place was McNoodle King, So McDonald's and Burger King on it. The only thing that was missing was like Hut at the end of it, McNoodle King Hut or something.
McNoodle King.
Yeah, and I was just looking at it like, that's just one of those things where it's like, is that going to be a lawsuit someday? Because you know how these companies are. They'll just sue for any old shit. But I don't believe so. But yeah, nice noodles from there. Weird name, nice noodles.
Weird name, good noodles. I feel like is a great like advertising thing for them. Have you ever considered going into the field of marketing?
I mean, I feel like I would be a good fit. I can say that.
I think so.
Well, just to prove that point, if I ever opened a restaurant whose whose whole shtick was delivery noodles, I would call that restaurant Send Nudes.
Of course.
NOODS. There we go.
No, that would pun names, especially with like Asian restaurants, like or noodle restaurants, I guess in this situation, like are so ubiquitous right now. And
You got to do it.
I love it because every day I'm learning a new one.
Yeah, there was another place in the UK actually called Walk On. Work with it,
Very nice.
Work within your means.
There's one close to me called Tie Me Up, and I'm like, wow, that's a little bit kinky. But okay.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I'd if I had like a donut place, I would call it something like a D apostrophe S, another apostrophe, nuts.
D's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have someone in my life whose name begins with a D.
Yeah.
So I could say it's named after them.
There you go.
I mean, my own name doesn't begin with it, so I can't use that defense. But
I mean, there's a patron on our Patreon, patreon.com/justalittle_guy named D Salari. So there you go.
That might be them.
Could be,
but
who knows?
They're there's something like that. The local people might complain, but I give them my explanation, and it's like, okay, well, nuts is it's shorthand for donuts, and this person's called this, and that begins with a D. And I was like, can't complain about that. It doesn't mean what you think it means. That's on you.
Yeah, that's a you interpreting things thing.
Yeah, you reading too much into stuff. That's you and your dirty mind. I wasn't even thinking of that.
No. Puns on the internet, jokes on the internet, I don't know anything about them.
Hell no. Like, so you leave my premises immediately. You leave these nuts alone.
I'm calling the police. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us here at Just a Little Guy. I almost said D's nuts.
You can do.
Now it's just stuck in my head.
We're done with these nuts.
We're done with these nuts. Thank you, Salari, for being here again and for doing a bonus episode with us. Oh, it was my pleasure.
Surprise bonus episode.
Absolutely. Was not anticipating it, but hey, you know what? Sometimes things just come together and, on our anniversary, no less. So, yeah. Be sure to check out that bonus episode if you haven't already. I imagine you have. But, yeah. I hope you all enjoyed it. And again, I'm appreciative of my friend Salari. If you wouldn't mind doing your plugs one more time, where can people find you? If you choose to.
I guess. You can find me at youtube.com/Salari. That's SALARI. And that isn't pronounced salary like everyone assumes for some reason. Or you can go to if you go to YouTube and type in Salari, you'll find me there as usually the first result, I think. Outside of that, if you wish to support me, which is greatly appreciated, you can go to patreon.com/Salari, and you can also find me on Coffee or Ko-Fi and buymeacoffee.com. But yeah, outside of that, I do stream every week on YouTube as well, which I'm trying to get a bit more momentum with, since I really enjoy streaming. probably prefer it over making videos these days because it's so much less effort.
Yeah.
But yeah, catch me on there. We usually just chat, and sometimes I bake on there, which is always a fun time.
Absolutely. I love hanging out in your baking streams, and I recommend that everybody listening to this go and do that. Just go and hang out in at least one of Salari's baking streams. Preferably do all of them because they're just magical. But if you can make it to just one, you'll understand why I like hanging out.
I got VODs as well if you want to check that out. You'll find them on my channel under the section for it. But yeah, this is a fun time for it. And you learn something. My baking streams usually have an educational element to it too.
Absolutely. And worst case scenario, you get to talk to Salari, who has this lovely voice. So there you go.
Yeah, and you'll hear me probably go off on completely unrelated stuff, just like the surprise episode of the podcast.
Yeah. So if you enjoyed this podcast, you'll love his streams.
Probably.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, if y'all want to help support the podcast, my name is Ron. You can find me at on YouTube as well at youtube.com/justalitleguypod. I've been streaming a little bit more recently as well. Every few Thursdays at least, like the end of the month. I'm pretty sure I've been doing it like just before What's Left of Us, which, by the way, if you like Dungeons and or Dragons, you should check out What's Left of Us. It stars myself, Thought Slime, Zoe B, the Starfish Face, Jay Korn, and yeah, we play Dungeons and Dragons at the last Friday of every month at 2:00 Eastern time. If you're in my Discord, there's an event. I know we're dorks. We really are. And also, there's obviously the Patreon at patreon.com/justalitleguy. There's also the Ko-Fi, coffee, whatever, at ko-fi.com/rsworthout if you want to help with our dental fund that we're still going on. We've made a lot of our money, but there's a lot of other stuff that's also adding up. So, yeah, one-time donations are much appreciated as well. So, yeah. That's all for us here at Just a Little Guy. Thanks for hanging out, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. All right, talk to you later, guys. Goodbye.
Au revoir.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for listening to this episode of Just a Little Guy. As always, if you'd like to support the show and our guest, but you don't want to do all that pesky typing, all of our links are going to be down in the description below. And I'd like to take this time to say a special thank you to everybody who's helped out with our fundraiser for my fiance's dental funds. It's really come in handy. Thank you so much to everybody who's donated to that so far. Also, if you'd like to support us on Patreon, again, the link is going to be there in the description. It's patreon.com/justalitleguy. If you want to support Salari, all of his relevant links will be down below. You don't even have to type. You don't have to type a single letter. You just have to scroll a little bit. All right? So be sure to go and check out all of his work. Be sure to support our show. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say except for thank you so much to everybody who has donated so far. People like Taru Tikkanen, D. Salari, Lunchbox, and Jared S. So thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next month, probably around the same time. And don't forget to check out What's Left of Us. It's going to be coming up on Friday, like 2 days from now. Also, I'm going to be streaming tomorrow, if you're listening to this on a public feed. Thursday, July 25th. Yes, July 25th. I had to think about it for a second. About 1 o'clock Eastern time. All right? Be sure to check that out. Check all of our stuff out. Thank you again for your support, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, month, what have you. We'll talk to you next time. All right, thanks everybody again, and until next time, beware of Bingus McDingus. All right, bye folks.